understand when you have nothing to compare it to, you just get to go to work and you see so many of your friends who are not working.
A startling tabloid claim has set celebrity media on fire. According to explosive reports, Jennifer Aniston privately described Meghan Markle as a weirdo, alleging years of unwanted attention centered around her Los Angeles mansion. The headline alone was enough to trigger online chaos, with speculation that Aniston had urged authorities to step in. No official action has been confirmed, but the story raises an unsettling question. How did a rumor this extreme gain traction? Join us as we unveil what life is really like for Harry and Meghan in America's most exclusive neighborhood, where even royalty can't guarantee acceptance. The perceived desperation. Jennifer Aniston has spent decades fiercely protecting her privacy and her inner circle. So when insiders began whispering that Meghan Markle had been quietly orbiting her world for years, Jennifer was deeply unsettled. According to those close to the situation, Aniston has no interest in encouraging what she allegedly sees as an uncomfortable fixation. Meghan has long viewed Aniston as the ultimate best friend goal, a Hollywood A-lister whose influence could unlock the most exclusive social and professional circles. Meghan believes a close friendship with Aniston would instantly elevate her standing, providing credibility and access she has struggled to maintain since stepping away from royal life. According to insiders, Meghan has been trying to get on Aniston's radar for years, carefully tracking her career, personal relationships, and social movements. The situation reportedly intensified once Aniston began dating hypnotherapist and life coach Jim Curtis. Insiders allege Meghan quickly identified him as a strategic entry point.
If things are wrong and there is a lack of justice and there's an inequality, then someone needs to say something.
Believing a professional collaboration could serve as a bridge to Aniston herself, Jim Curtis is reportedly seen as someone eager to expand his platform, and Meghan believes she could help amplify his reach in a meaningful way. While she is said to genuinely admire his work, insiders stress that the larger objective remains clear. A partnership with Jim is viewed as a pathway to Aniston, not merely a creative opportunity. The strategy goes beyond business. Meghan allegedly imagines a fully integrated social future, including shared dinners, double dates, and a growing bond between Jim Curtis and Prince Harry. To some, the idea may sound optimistic or even harmless, but insiders claim Aniston finds the persistence unsettling rather than flattering. The timing has only heightened concerns.
On the edge, I mean, I can cry at a Pampers commercial, but you just access.
With Aniston spending increasing time in Montecito, the same affluent enclave Meghan calls home. Sources suggest Meghan sees proximity as an opportunity too valuable to ignore. Casual run-ins, overlapping social circles, and shared local spaces are reportedly viewed as chances to force familiarity. Aniston, however, is said to be proceeding with caution. Known for being selective about who she allows into her personal life, she has reportedly maintained polite distance. Insiders say she is empathetic to Meghan's public struggles, but unwilling to fast-track any form of friendship.
Because it feels really inclusive and there's representation and it's just like a sweet love story.
Communication, when it occurs, is described as cordial, but intentionally limited. According to sources, Aniston values authenticity and resists relationships that feel engineered or transactional. As a result, Meghan's persistence may be having the opposite effect. What was intended to build connection has instead raised alarms, leaving Aniston guarded and increasingly wary. But why does Meghan need a friendship with Jennifer Aniston? The move that changed everything. In July 2020, as the world grappled with pandemic lockdowns, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle made a purchase that would define the next chapter of their lives. They bought a sprawling Mediterranean-style mansion in Montecito for $14.65 million, marking their definitive transition from royal life to California living. The assumption was simple. Montecito residents, accustomed to living alongside Hollywood royalty, would welcome actual royalty with open arms. After all,
I think you feel really confident that it was divinely ordered. maybe all of this, our friendship, you becoming art.
If one can peacefully coexist with Oprah Winfrey and Ellen DeGeneres, surely a duke and duchess would fit right in. But 5 years after Harry and Meghan's arrival, it's become clear that integration has been far more difficult than anyone expected. Richard Mignards, a longtime Montecito resident and journalist, became one of the first neighbors to publicly voice frustration with the Sussexes. In interviews with multiple outlets, including Page 6, and for the German documentary Harry the Lost Prince, Mignards didn't hold back his criticism, particularly of Meghan. She doesn't really go out or get involved with the community, Mignards observed in late 2024. His complaints went deeper than simple absence from local events. He described Meghan as overly controlled, paying obsessive attention to every appearance, word, and gesture, traits that clash with Montecito's preference for understated authenticity. The incident that crystallized community tensions for some happened shortly after the Sussexes moved in. A local elderly historian, excited about having famous new neighbors, wanted to gift Meghan a copy of his documentary about Montecito's history. It was exactly the kind of neighborly gesture that defines the community: informal, thoughtful, and rooted in shared appreciation for the area's character. According to Mignards and others, the old man never got past the gate. The rejection, whether intentional or the result of overzealous security, sent a message that the Sussexes weren't interested in the casual community bonds that other celebrities in the area had cultivated over the years.
Certainly after the pandemic and everything else, we crave that. We crave being able to go hi and
The contrast with Prince Harry couldn't be starker. While Meghan remained largely invisible, Harry was spotted at local beaches, in organic coffee shops, and cycling through the hills. Neighbors described him as always charming and approachable, with that very recognizable Windsor accent. Actor Rob Lowe, another Montecito resident, offered his own perspective on having the Sussexes as neighbors in a 2021 interview with E! News. While less overtly critical than Mignards, Lowe's comments revealed underlying tensions. "They definitely have brought a lot of attention to my sleepy little town," he said. And attention was precisely what longtime residents had paid millions to avoid. The frustration wasn't just about personality clashes or social awkwardness. Montecito residents began attributing tangible community changes to the Sussex presence. Home prices, already astronomical, accelerated dramatically. Between December 2019 and December 2024, the median home price in Montecito climbed from $5.1 million to $7.5 million, a 47.3% increase that significantly outpaced California's statewide growth of 29.7%. Real estate economist Hannah Jones noted this wasn't typical market behavior. Even in in-demand Montecito, a home doubling in value since 2020 is not typical, she explained. While renovations and general desirability contributed, the fame-driven popularity created by having royals in residence played an undeniable role. More galling to some residents was the influx of tourists and looky-loos. For decades, Montecito had maintained its exclusivity partly through obscurity. Most people knew the general area where celebrities lived, but couldn't pinpoint exact locations. Harry and Meghan's high-profile projects changed that calculus. When they filmed their Netflix documentary series at a nearby property, when Meghan shot With Love Meghan at another local estate, when every interview and photo shoot showcased Montecito's distinctive landscape, they were effectively putting the community on the map in ways longtime residents found intrusive.
reflective of my vision for the brand. It's just a constant dance. And I think in any business,
Out-of-towners began driving through neighborhoods, parking illegally near hiking trails that Meghan had been photographed using, and generally behaving like tourists in what was supposed to be a private, residential community. One anonymous resident told Vanity Fair in early 2025, "I think everyone, including the A-list celebs, would prefer that it's not on the map like it is." NFL legend Troy Aikman, who spends summers in Montecito, summed up the prevailing attitude when asked by Us Weekly if he'd invite the Sussexes for drinks. "I think anyone with a heartbeat knows that they're out there. but I'm not hanging with them. The subtext was clear. Proximity didn't equal friendship, and the Sussex presence, while acknowledged, wasn't necessarily welcomed. The criticisms extended beyond social dynamics to perceived opportunism when Meghan launched her lifestyle brand, American Riviera Orchard, in 2024. The name itself became controversial. While Montecito has sometimes been called the American Riviera, longtime residents saw Meghan's appropriation of the nickname for commercial purposes as crass monetization of the community's identity. "It's such a kind of hucksterism," one Montecito resident told Vanity Fair. "It's just finding every way she can to monetize something." The comment reflected a deeper tension between those who saw the Sussexes as genuine community members and those who viewed them as opportunistic outsiders, leveraging Montecito's cachet for personal brand building. A German documentary featuring neighbor interviews painted the Sussexes as isolated figures living lavish lifestyles without contributing meaningfully to the local area. The film criticized them for whinging about the royal family, while socializing exclusively with elites during carefully orchestrated international trips.
And I think a lot of that gets lost in what can be super dehumanizing when you look at the clickbait culture and
noted Meghan's costly fashion choices on tours that seemed at odds with their expressed values. Not everyone shared these negative views, of course. Some residents, particularly those in the couple's immediate social circle, defended their right to privacy and noted that adjustment takes time. But the overall message from vocal neighbors was unmistakable. 5 years in, Harry and Meghan still felt like outsiders in their own community, tolerated perhaps, but not truly accepted into Montecito's established social fabric. But why did Meghan and Harry remain in a community that didn't want them? The Hollywood gamble that paid off. When Harry and Meghan signed their reported $100 million deal with Netflix in September 2020, it seemed like the ultimate validation of their post-royal pivot. They would leverage their global fame, unique insider access to royal life, and Meghan's entertainment industry experience to build a media empire through their production company, Archewell Productions. 5 years later, the results have been decidedly mixed.
And I hadn't at the onset thought that that was something that I wanted to share in that way.
Successful enough to secure renewal, but complicated enough to reveal the challenges of transitioning from royalty to Hollywood producers. Their first major project, the documentary series Harry and Meghan, premiered in December 2022 and immediately became a cultural phenomenon. The 6-episode series offered an intimate look at their relationship, their struggles within the royal family, and their decision to step away from royal duties. The numbers were staggering: 23.4 million views in just the first 4 days, making it one of Netflix's most-watched documentary series ever. But viewership success didn't translate to universal acclaim. Critics and viewers were divided. Supporters praised the couple's vulnerability and willingness to share their truth. Detractors accused them of hypocrisy, complaining about privacy while filming intimate moments for global consumption, criticizing royal protocol while monetizing their royal connections. The documentary also deepened the rift with Harry's family, particularly Prince William and King Charles. Revelations about private conversations, subtle digs at royal relatives, and the overall narrative of victimhood versus institutional rigidity made reconciliation with the royal family increasingly unlikely. For Harry and Meghan, it was truth-telling. For their critics, it was a calculated betrayal packaged as confession. Their subsequent projects revealed the challenge of sustaining that initial momentum. Live to Lead, a documentary series featuring interviews with global leaders, received minimal attention. Heart of Invictus, following competitors in the Invictus Games, garnered respect but relatively modest viewership. Polo, an exploration of the elite sport, was widely panned as tone-deaf, wealthy royals showcasing an exclusive hobby while claiming to champion ordinary people.
and I had this incredible fortune of having every SKU sell out within under an hour, which is amazing.
The clearest success has been Meghan's With Love, Meghan, which premiered in March 2025. The lifestyle and cooking show, featuring Meghan hosting friends at a rented Montecito property, became Netflix's most-watched culinary show since its release, with 5.3 million views in the first half of 2025. It reached the top 10 in 24 countries, validating Meghan's instincts about what audiences wanted from her: accessible luxury, entertaining tips, and her natural on-camera presence. Critically, the show succeeded by not being about royalty or drama. It showcased Meghan doing what she's genuinely good at: hosting, cooking, and creating aesthetic experiences. Viewers who might have been turned off by the heavy emotion of Harry and Meghan could simply enjoy watching her arrange flowers and prepare meals. Season 2 was quickly announced, along with a holiday special scheduled for December 2025. The show also launched Meghan's As Ever lifestyle brand in partnership with Netflix. Products from the line, jams, kitchen goods, lifestyle items, consistently sold out despite limited edition releases. For Netflix, this represented a new revenue stream beyond subscription fees. And for Meghan, it validated her long-held ambition to build a lifestyle empire rivaling Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop or Martha Stewart's Empire. In August 2025, Harry and Meghan announced an extension of their Netflix partnership, though industry insiders noted a significant change in structure. The new deal was described as a multi-year first look arrangement rather than the exclusive overall deal they'd had previously. In Hollywood terms, this was actually a downgrade, the same move Netflix had made with Barack and Michelle Obama's Higher Ground production company. Under a first-look deal, Netflix has the right to approve or reject Archewell projects before the Sussexes can shop them to other studios. But Netflix isn't obligated to fund everything. It provides more flexibility for Harry and Meghan, but less financial security and exclusivity. Typically, first-look deals are less lucrative than exclusive arrangements. Industry sources speaking to outlets like Reality Tea and Radar Online painted an even more revealing picture. Meghan is the one with the media instincts, a senior production source explained. She's polished, camera-ready, and understands how to build a brand, even though her programs are always mocked.
Talking to not just young women, but also to mentors, teachers, people that are going to be able to cast.
She still understands the camera from her acting days. The contrast with Harry was stark. Harry's ideas haven't worked. The audience just isn't there. At this point, she's the face of the business, and he's taking a back seat. Multiple sources described Archewell as essentially a one-woman operation, with Meghan as the preferred collaborator for Netflix. This created an awkward dynamic. Harry's documentary projects, focusing on mental health, Invictus, and serious social issues, consistently underperformed despite his genuine passion for these causes. Meghan's lifestyle content, which she could create relatively easily given her background and interests, was succeeding. In their bid to build equal post-royal identities, they discovered that Hollywood success doesn't care about titles or good intentions. It cares about what audiences will watch. The financial reality was also sobering. Reports suggested that Archewell Productions costs approximately $3 million annually to operate, covering salaries, office space, and production overhead. Even with Netflix's continued support, the downgrade to a first-look deal meant more financial pressure to produce hit content. Beyond Netflix, the Sussexes' other Hollywood ventures had struggled. Their 2020 deal with Spotify for Meghan's Archetypes podcast was terminated in 2023 after producing just one season. Spotify executive Bill Simmons famously called them grifters after the split, a brutal assessment that reflected industry frustration with what was perceived as under-delivering on promises. Yet despite these setbacks, Harry and Meghan had achieved something significant. They'd remained relevant. 5 years after leaving royal life, they were still major media figures with active projects and genuine earning potential. Meghan had proven she could succeed in entertainment on her own terms, and their ability to generate headlines, whether positive or negative, demonstrated enduring public fascination. In December 2025, they announced another evolution, restructuring their charitable foundation Archewell into Archewell Philanthropies, with plans to involve their children Archie and Lilibet in philanthropic work. The timing suggested a strategic pivot, doubling down on charitable work while continuing to pursue Hollywood success through Meghan's lifestyle content rather than controversial documentaries. The Hollywood gamble hadn't delivered the transformative success they might have hoped for in 2020, but it hadn't failed either. They'd found a viable, if complicated, path forward, one that relied increasingly on Meghan's talents and required accepting that their most marketable asset remained their royal past, even as they tried to build a post-royal future. But while it looks like one of their gambles paid off, they are living a life far from what they expected to live. What exactly happened between Meghan and Jennifer Aniston? The isolation problem nobody expected. Perhaps the most surprising revelation about Harry and Meghan's Montecito life is how isolated they've reportedly become. When they arrived in 2020, the expectation was that they'd quickly integrate into California's power elite, building a network of celebrity friends, business partners, and social connections that would support their new ventures. Instead, 5 years later, insiders and observers consistently describe a couple increasingly separated from both Hollywood's inner circles and their own extended families. The isolation manifests in multiple ways. Despite living in a neighborhood populated by some of entertainment's biggest names, Harry and Meghan's social circle appears surprisingly thin. Tyler Perry remains a loyal friend and supporter, having provided them housing during their transition and serving as godfather to Lilibet. Oprah Winfrey maintains a connection, though their relationship has been more transactional, centered on the explosive 2021 interview than the deep friendship some anticipated. Beyond these anchor relationships, the list grows notably shorter. While Meghan has name-dropped connections to various celebrities and sent products from her American Riviera Orchard brand to high-profile figures, genuine close friendships seem elusive. The expected integration into circles around Gwyneth Paltrow, Jennifer Aniston, or other A-listers hasn't materialized in any visible way. This isolation is particularly striking given Meghan's pre-royal life. During her Suits years, she had cultivated Hollywood relationships, maintained a lifestyle blog, and moved comfortably in entertainment circles. Her return to California should have been a homecoming.
Oh my gosh. Little Trouser's the only fake one. Sandy Balls, Happy Bottom, and Crotch Crescent are all real places.
A chance to rebuild those networks from a position of even greater fame and resources. Instead, reports suggest doors that might have opened remain closed, with the royal drama and constant media attention making many celebrities wary of association. The geographic isolation compounds the social distance. Montecito, while beautiful and exclusive, is not Hollywood. It's a 2-hour drive from Los Angeles, making casual industry networking or impromptu social gatherings difficult. For working professionals in entertainment, that distance matters. Harry and Meghan can't easily attend industry events, take meetings, or maintain the constant presence that Hollywood success often requires. Their self-imposed privacy measures further limit connection opportunities. The heavy security, the gated estate, the controlled public appearances, all necessary given their unique circumstances, create physical and psychological barriers to the kind of casual community integration that other Montecito celebrities achieve. Rob Lowe bicycles through town and chats with neighbors. Ellen DeGeneres and Portia de Rossi famously involved themselves in local real estate and community matters. Even Oprah, despite her wealth and fame, maintained connections to local organizations and made herself accessible in measured ways. Harry and Meghan's security concerns and desire for privacy made this kind of accessible celebrity nearly impossible. The isolation from family is even more pronounced and painful.
It is such an honor to be here tonight, celebrating all of you.
Prince William and Kate, once close to Harry, particularly during their joint charitable work, had become effectively estranged. Public appearances at family events became exercises in awkward avoidance. King Charles, caught between loyalty to his younger son and duty to the institution Harry had criticized, maintained minimal contact. Most heartbreaking for Harry, his children Archie and Lilibet had little to no relationship with their royal cousins or grandfather. Lilibet had reportedly met King Charles only briefly, and Archie's memories of his British family were fading. The transatlantic distance, combined with the emotional distance created by the Sussexes' public criticisms, made reconciliation increasingly unlikely. Even Meghan's own family relationships remained fractured. Her estrangement from her father Thomas Markle and half-siblings predated her marriage to Harry, but years of public feuding and media battles had made those rifts permanent. Her mother, Doria Ragland, remained close and involved with her grandchildren, but Meghan's broader family network was effectively non-existent. This isolation created a feedback loop. The more isolated they became, the more they relied on each other and their small inner circle, which made them seem more insular to outsiders, which further limited opportunities for connection. Their Netflix documentaries and interviews meant to tell their side of the story often had the opposite effect, reinforcing perceptions that they were difficult, dramatic, or unreliable allies. The professional isolation also limited their business opportunities. In Hollywood, relationships drive deals. Producers need collaborators. Agents need clients they can package. Studios need talent they can work with repeatedly. Harry and Meghan's challenges in building these networks beyond their Netflix arrangement suggested that their royal fame alone wasn't enough to overcome industry skepticism about their reliability, dramatic baggage, or ability to deliver consistent content. Some of this isolation appeared to be changing by late 2025. Meghan's announced cameo in the Amazon MGM film Close Personal Friends, her first acting role in 8 years, suggested some Hollywood doors might be opening. The role would feature her playing herself alongside established stars like Lily Collins and Brie Larson, a safe re-entry that didn't require her to audition or prove herself in traditional ways. But the broader pattern remained concerning. For a couple who had sacrificed so much for freedom and independence, their California life seemed constrained in ways they hadn't anticipated. They had privacy, but also loneliness. They had security, but also separation. They had financial success, but limited social integration. In interviews, they spoke about the close-knit family they were building with Archie and Lilibet, about finding their community, about the peace of their Montecito sanctuary. But between the lines, observers saw two people struggling with the isolation that comes from being too famous to be normal, too controversial to be easily accepted, and too separated from their roots to fully belong anywhere. The question hanging over their Montecito chapter wasn't whether they'd achieved success. By many measures they had. It was whether the isolation they'd inadvertently created was sustainable, and whether they could eventually build the connected, purposeful life they'd claimed to be seeking when they walked away from the palace gates 5 years ago. As Harry and Meghan enter their 6th year in Montecito, the arc of their post-royal experiment is becoming clearer, even as critical questions about their long-term trajectory remain unanswered. They've survived the transition from working royals to independent celebrities, built viable business ventures, raised their children away from tabloid pressure, and maintained their marriage through extraordinary public scrutiny. By these measures alone, their California chapter could be considered a success. Yet success has come with compromises they likely didn't anticipate. Their relationship with the royal family appears irreparably damaged, with King Charles and Prince William reportedly maintaining minimal contact. Recent reports suggest Charles may be considering changes to his will that could further limit Harry's inheritance, reflecting the depth of the family breach. For Harry, who spent his entire life within royal structures and bonds, this estrangement carries emotional costs that no amount of California sunshine can fully heal. Their financial picture, while still strong, faces ongoing pressure. The Netflix deal, though renewed, appears less lucrative in its revised form. Archewell Productions must consistently deliver content that justifies its $3 million annual operating costs. Meghan's As Ever brand shows promise, but hasn't yet proven it can scale into the goop-level empire she envisions. Their Montecito mansion, while appreciated significantly in value, also represents ongoing maintenance costs, security expenses, and property taxes that require substantial income streams. The professional challenges are equally complex. Meghan has found her footing with lifestyle content that plays to her strengths, but this success pigeonholes her in ways that limit other opportunities. Harry's documentary work, focusing on causes he genuinely cares about, consistently underperforms with audiences who want either royal gossip or pure entertainment, not earnest advocacy. Their joint projects must navigate the difficult balance between leveraging their royal past and building a post-royal identity. The isolation problem shows no easy solution. 5 years should have been enough time to build deep California roots, yet they remain oddly peripheral to the communities, both geographical and professional, they inhabit. Montecito neighbors remain skeptical. Hollywood power players maintain careful distance. The A-list friendships that seemed inevitable have largely failed to materialize. Whether this reflects their own choices, others' wariness, or simply the difficulty of genuine connection when you're that famous remains debatable. Have Harry and Meghan successfully reinvented themselves, or are they still living in the shadow of the crowns they left behind? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.